Welcome back to Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing. We had just left off in chapter 9, and Fudge had been found at the movie theater trying to touch the bears. And now the Hatchers have gotten home where Peter's father has made a very kind and generous offer of making a home-cooked dinner for the boys while their mother is away. Let's read to find out what happens next. My father said he was going to cook us something special for dinner to celebrate finding Fudge in the movies. I thought that was really strange, because as far as I know, my father can't cook anything. He doesn't even know where my mother keeps the peanut butter, the dishes, or the pots and pans. Lucky for him, I was there to show him. What are you going to cook, Dad? A super-duper omelet, he said. Omelet? I'm not sure me and Fudge like omelets. You'll like this one, my father said, humming as he gathered his ingredients together. Get me a big frying pan. Got it, Peter? Okay, I said. I gave it to him. He melted some butter in it. What's going in the super-duper omelet? I asked, while Fudge sat on the floor, banging two pot covers together. Well, eggs, of course, my father said. Omelets are made of eggs. And what else? I asked. Oh, I think I'll make a mushroom omelet. Eggs and mushrooms? I said. Yes, you'll love it. I'm not so sure. You'll see, Peter, my father said. I set the table up while my father cooked. I even put Fudge in his booster chair. When the omelet was done, my father brought it to us. He was still humming. That's some big omelet, I said when I saw it. It filled up the whole frying pan. How many eggs did you use? About a dozen, my father said. That's 12, just so you know. Mom only cooks one at a time, I told him. When you taste this, you'll know why I use them all up. You mean it's that good? I asked. Go on, my father said as he served me. Taste it. I took a bite. It was awful. The worst thing I had ever eaten in my entire life. But my father was standing there grinning at me. I didn't want to hurt his feelings. Well, he said. It's nice, I told him, swallowing a chunk whole. I washed it down with a glass of milk. You see, your mother ought to experiment more. Then you'd learn to eat lots of different things. I don't think Mom ever made me a mushroom omelet, I said. My father put some on Fudge's plate. Then he served himself. Fudge shoved a lot in his mouth at once. I waited, figuring he'd choke on it. Instead, he said, Woo! Good! My father beamed. Fudge wasn't smart enough to fool my father, so he must have really liked it. But a kid that can eat flowers and swallow teeth wouldn't know much about omelets anyway. Then my father sat down and tasted his super-duper concoction. He not only choked on it, he spit it out. Oh no, he said. This is awful. Something went wrong. Maybe the eggs are rotten. Mom just bought them on Thursday, I said. Maybe it's the mushrooms then, my father said. Maybe it's how you cooked it, I suggested. My father jumped up from the table and threw the mushroom omelet into the garbage. Fudge started to cry. Want more! More! No, my father told him. It wasn't any good. Fudge screamed. Eat it or wear it! Eat it or wear it! He flung his spoon across the room. It hit my mother's favorite plant. The dirt spilled all over the kitchen floor. Now you stop that, my father yelled at Fudge. I'm going to make us nice peanut butter sandwiches. Then you're going to have a bath. Your mommy's coming home tomorrow, and we are going to show her how well Daddy managed all by himself. Peter, where does your mother hide the peanut butter? After supper, my father bathed Fudge. The only thing he decided not to do were the dishes. He stacked them in the sink and left them for my mother. On Sunday afternoon, we drove out to the airport to meet my mother's plane. On the way there, my father said, wouldn't it be fun if we kept all the things we did over the weekend a secret, just between the three of us? Kind of a man's secret. I agreed not to say a word, and my mother was so glad to see us that she didn't even mention the dirty dishes in the sink. 6 weeks later, we were watching TV one night when the new Toddlebike commercial came on. "That's me," Fudge said. My mother looked up from the book she was reading. "He does look like you, Fudgy, but that's not really you." "Oh, yes," Fudge said. "That's me. See?" My mother squinted and looked harder. "You know, Warren," she told my father, "he really does look like Fudge." Then she laughed. "Imagine another little boy like Fudgy." "It's Fudge, all right," I said. "It's Fudgy, all right," my brother repeated. "We didn't tell you, dear," my father said. "We thought you'd like to be surprised. But that is Fudge." "What?" my mother said, like she couldn't believe it. "You see, Mom, remember that weekend you went to visit Aunt Linda?" Then I stopped and thought about all the things my mother didn't know, like the puddles Fudge splashed in, and the paper towels up his pants, and how he wanted to touch the bears, and the mushroom omelet, and Mr. Vincent, and Janet and her goldfish crackers. And I looked at my father and started to laugh, and so did he. And then for our final chapter, which is coming up in our next reading, is chapter 10, Dribble. Just keep your minds thinking about what that might be about next. Okay, take care.